sure she might go before we start. I can't tell that. There's some questions at the computer time again. Last time this happened, I had to be good.
No, no, it's not the computer. Stupid thing.
It could be. This is not it. It just shows that in the presentation. I had to read that stuff this happened. Try jiggling cables and all that sort of stuff. And maybe it is on a timer. We won't lose everybody, I don't think.
We would.
We would.
We don't want
There we go. Right, anybody else?
They just can't see us.
Yeah, but they'll still be able to see the speakers and the slides. Can we put the slides up at least and then?
Yep.
And then nobody here is going to see. Can you come down? We lost the TV signal again like we did the other day. And we can't reboot because we'll lose everybody, right? Come on down.
PowerPoints for
You might have to
everybody
do
here,
that, yeah.
so we can at least get started.
Back up.
Okay.
Let's do that going forward again, just in case we have the same problem.
Wouldn't
we
we be
get
able to call?
Yeah, let's see where we are. Okay. I can see us.
We want to mention, Bob, that this is without being recorded.
Yeah. Okay.
You want it?
Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. I think you can see me over here in the corner of your screen. I'm Bob Sharp, Executive Director for Fay-Penn, and we're doing today's event in conjunction with the Fayette County Chamber of Commerce, Thomasville Chamber of Commerce, Mon Valley Alliance, to bring you as manufacturing entities in Fayette County some information from 3 different organizations that provide services to manufacturers and let you know a little bit about what their capabilities are and how they can help you. So a couple of things up front. We're having some technical difficulties here where all of our screens are blank except for the small laptop screen in the front. So we can't really see much at the moment from where we're at. We are in the process of printing out the PowerPoint slides so that everybody here can see what's on screen going forward. So apologize for the inconvenience. This just happened literally 2 or 3 minutes ago where we lost our video connection here. So we are in the process of doing that for the folks that are here. One of the things that I'd like to do for the people that are with us virtually is if you have questions during the session, please just go ahead and put those up in the chat room so that we can address them after each particular session. As I indicated, we have 3 people here that will be presenting from 3 different organizations. So we'll try to answer any questions immediately after that particular session. We will be emailing the PowerPoint to everybody after this presentation, and it will contain contact info for all of the presenters. So unless there are any other kinds of logistical questions, we're going to get started here and hopefully be able to proceed with this as well as we can with the virtual connection problems that we're having. So with that, I would like to introduce our speakers and well, let me just provide one other bit of background information. We're on a relatively short time frame here this afternoon. So we have specifically informed the speakers that we didn't want to get into in-depth details about their programs. So the intent here is to give you an idea of who these organizations are, the types of assistance services they can provide to a very high level, And then if there is interest on any particular manufacturer that's attending here today, you can certainly reach out to these individuals, or I'm sure they'll be reaching out to you to explain in more detail about some of these programs they're going to be talking about today. So realistically, we're going to have each speaker use about 10 to 12 minutes to talk about their particular programs. We'll then have some brief Q&A depending upon what happens in the chat room or questions that might arise from the people that are here in person. And that's kind of what we hope to accomplish today. Going forward, this consortium is realistically going to be an ad hoc group where people can come and go as they please, attend sessions as they please. The overall impact that we're hoping to provide is to give these kinds of assistance services some exposure to our manufacturing community here in Fayette County, so that we take advantage of every opportunity that is available to us to increase everybody's bottom line. We also hope that at some point we can do these face-to-face as we did in the past with a previous consortium effort, so that people can learn more about each other's organizations and perhaps utilize some supply chain advantages by using local suppliers instead of having to look outside the county. Just as an example, I did this previously when I was in Johnstown, and out of these types of things, we were able to increase the supply chain contribution from local companies by about $600,000 annually. So that was a huge impact from that alone. So with that in mind, I'm going to introduce our presenters. And the sequence that they're going to be going in. We have Terry Campbell from Catalyst Connection, who's going to be leading off. Can you put the slides up so that people that are can see those? Yep. And Lori will be moving the slides forward, her directions from the presenters. Bob Value is here from Steel Valley Authority, or SOAN, the strategic, I don't remember what the acronym is for SOAN off the top of my head for it.
Strategic Early Warning Network.
Okay. Bob will be going second to talk about their programs. He's a bit under the weather, so we're going to excuse him after his session is complete. And then Elena Colvin from PennTap is going to be here to talk about their programs. So we should have the screens up for everybody to see remotely. And if you guys can squint, you can see what's on the screen here now until we get hard copies in front of you. And I'm going to turn it over to Terry to start it off. So Terry, if you want to take over, it's your.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me? Great, great. Well, thanks for putting this together. I'm really excited that you're bringing this group of folks together, and I hope that there continues to be great programming for everyone. So I'm Terry Campbell, Senior Business Advisor at Catalyst Connection. For those of you who may not know, Catalyst Connection is a private, not-for-profit organization. We're headquartered in Pittsburgh. We provide consulting and training services to small and medium-sized manufacturers throughout 12 counties in southwestern Pennsylvania. Through our services, we help manufacturers accelerate their revenue growth and improve their productivity. Catalyst Connection is supported in part by the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development. We're one of 7 organizations across the state known as the Industrial Resource Centers in Pennsylvania. We also are supported in part by the National Institute of Standards and Technology, and we're known as a manufacturing extension partnership through that federal funding. This funding actually supports over 50 MEPs, manufacturing extension partnerships, across the country. So manufacturers in every state have a center like Catalyst Connection as a resource to help them develop new products and customers, expand and diversify their markets, adopt new technology, and enhance value in their supply chain. In Pittsburgh and in our regional office, we have a team of 27 staff. We also have a huge group of partners across the region that we utilize to help deliver services. So I like to tell folks that by reaching out to me, you're actually not just receiving my knowledge and resources that I have access to, but you're receiving the knowledge of the 27 staff at Catalyst, as well as the IRC network across Pennsylvania, and the MEP network of organizations across the whole country. So if we don't have the answers, we can reach out and see what our other partners are doing and if they can provide the leads and the resources that we are being requested of. We go to the next slide.
Sorry, hang on one second.
We have the
Okay.
screen back up here.
Okay. Am I on the correct one?
I'm just seeing everyone's face, but that's okay. As long as everyone's going to receive the presentation afterwards, I think we're good.
Terry, we're on the slide that has like the 4 tabs in blue.
The 4 light green boxes. Yep.
They're blue on our screen. Is that the one we need to be on?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. So our goal at Catalyst Connection is to help clients in manufacturing improve their growth and productivity. We do this by forging partnerships that bring resources, and we continually add new services to meet clients' needs and expand business opportunities. Over the past year and a half, due to the pandemic, we've added or we've tweaked some of our services based on businesses' needs. For example, digital marketing, lead generation, supplier scouting, these have all become higher priorities for many companies as a result of the COVID pandemic. Facility layout services have changed to ensure that COVID restrictions are in place. And we've also offered a lot of virtual training options for many of our typical training topics. Overall, we create solutions that benefit an entire organization, and we focus on 4 things: people, products, process, and technology. So just to highlight a couple of things under each of those, products, these are our business growth services. We can help companies to secure new customers in existing markets, enter new domestic and international markets, and successfully develop new products to sustain their competitive advantage. As far as processes, we can work with companies to implement ways that successful manufacturers use towards operational excellence. These are things like lean manufacturing, Six Sigma, training within industry, and quality management systems. For people, we offer various organizational development services like employee engagement, coaching, team building, leadership development, succession planning, all geared towards helping a company become an employer of choice. And technology, which actually supports all 3 of those: people, product, and process. This is to help companies in adopting technologies like robotics, additive manufacturing, cybersecurity, even ERP or CRM systems. We can help you through every step of the process, whether it's just starting to think about those technologies and learning about them, whether it's assessing and evaluating them, implementing them and putting them into practice, or even paying for them. Next slide.
Can I interrupt for 1 second? Can everybody on the call see the slide? Are you seeing the slides?
I am now.
Okay. Let me.
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you.
So Laura, you can go to the next one.
Now, if I
We
can
also
try-
have, while you're getting there, I'll just start talking, just to try to stay on time. We also have a lot of workforce development services, and I know there's a ton of information on this slide. I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. And again, knowing that you're all getting these slides after the fact, you can, look at the topics in more detail and call me for more details as well. So our workforce development services, they've continued to expand. Many of you know that you've participated in our middle school video contest and our high school program called the Manufacturing Innovation Challenge. Those have both been around for many years now. If you look at some of the things in the dark blue boxes, however, I wanted to highlight a couple of these. And these all include offerings for job seekers, entry-level workers, technical and professional workers, and even those in management and leadership positions. One of the ones that I wanted to highlight is the essential skills for manufacturing. This is being offered at no cost based on funding that we've received. It's virtual, online, self-paced training, 25 hours total, and participants can earn the SME Certified Manufacturing Associate credential upon completion. This essential skills for manufacturing includes basic concepts in additive manufacturing, inspection, quality, blueprint reading, math skills, measurement and inspection, safety and troubleshooting. So there's a wide variety that, again, gives those essential skills for individuals. And this could be for a job seeker, or it could be for an entry-level worker that you've identified. The other one I wanted to highlight was Operation Next. Again, this is funding that we received that we are able to provide this training at no cost to participants or employers. It combines virtual training with hands-on training. Participants select from one of three pathways. They are CNC machine operator, industrial maintenance technician, and welding. The trainees complete virtual training at their own pace. The hands-on training is delivered by local educational providers. I wanted to point out that while we have some formal arrangements in place with educational providers in the region, especially where there are a lot of participants who have signed up, we are able to work with other educational providers. So for example, if there are participants at a company or job seekers in Fayette County that wanted to participate in this, we could work with those participants and those employers to identify a provider of the hands-on training and support that training with the funding that we have. The Operation Next actually results in nationally portable industry recognized credentials. For the CNC machine operation, that credential is aligned with the National Institute for Metalworking Skills, the NIMS credentials. The industrial maintenance technician can prepare folks for either a mechanical maintenance technician or an electrical maintenance technician. And again, it's aligned with NIMS. And the welding prepares entry-level welders, and it's aligned with the American Welding Society Level 1 standards. I highlighted on this slide the Skill Mill 19 that I wanted to let you know is going to be launching on September 1st. Those of you who don't know, Catalyst Connection in Pittsburgh is located in the Hazelwood Green neighborhood in a building known as Mill 19. So we thought it was appropriate to call this new launch the Skill Mill 19. And what this is an open enrollment, on-demand learning management system for manufacturing skills. Individuals will be able to access and track their learning online, and manufacturers will be able to track employee progress and generate reports if they have employees that are participating. The library of content is going to contain trainings from Catalyst Connection, from other MEP centers across the country, as well as from providers like Tooling U. It can also meet requirements that employers may have for including signatures on rosters or tracking certification expirations. So there's going to be a lot of features, and hopefully you stay tuned for that launch and are able to participate in that offering. Go ahead to the next slide. So in addition to the base funding that Catalyst Connection receives from the federal and state offices, we also have secured additional funding from a variety of sources, and this slide highlights those. I'm just going to pinpoint again a couple of them to give you an idea of the types of things that we're able to offer. The Shell Power, I think it's in the upper right corner of the slide. The Shell Power initiative is designed to help companies who are in the Shell Power supply chain or are looking to enter or grow their footprint in that supply chain. We have a dedicated website for all of the information that you'd want to know about this. It's shellpower.org. And one of the things that we're able to offer with this initiative, in addition to training and technical assistance, is mini grants. These mini grants operate on a reimbursement process. So with approval, if you have a project that you are implementing that can help you grow in the shell industry, we can reimburse 50% of the costs of that project up to a maximum of $5,000 being reimbursed for the project. So that could be something that Catalyst Connection is working directly to provide for you, or it could be from a partner organization or provider as well. The other one that I wanted to highlight is Aim Higher, which is in the bottom right corner of that screen. Again, we have a dedicated website, aimhigherconsortium.org, where you can get all of the information about this. We are offering, again, mini grants with that operate similarly to the Shell Power. But the Aim Higher is for companies who are in the defense supply chain or looking to grow their business in the defense supply chain. So there are a lot of trainings and a lot of resources that we're offering at no cost to employers, as well as I said, the mini grants. I also highlighted on this screen a maker to manufacturing offering that's coming soon. This is going to be the second round of M2M funding that we've received. And this is to help the very small entrepreneurs or small businesses to connect to the larger ecosystem of manufacturing. The resources that are included here are a peer network, technical assistance, as well as some mini grants. We put together an asset map of organizations and the support that other organizations can provide that would be helpful to this group of manufacturers. As well as we'll be offering educational workshops and webinars. So again, stay tuned for more information on that. And as a definition, the small manufacturers for M2M are considered 50 employees or less. Next slide. Here is some contact information where you can reach me, my office number in Pittsburgh, and whether or not I'm there, which I'm rarely there, I get those messages and can get back to you very quickly. And my email address is on there as well. I encourage you to go to the Catalyst Connection website, catalystconnection.org. There you can look at our 2020 annual report and see some more specifics about our services and some of our success stories over the past year. You can sign up to receive our emails if you don't already receive those. You can browse the resources on the website, which includes, probably at least a dozen or more ebooks. That was one of the services that we found to be very useful for manufacturers during COVID, that we were still able to provide support and information and resources through an electronic means at no cost. Even though we weren't able to necessarily get out on site to visit employers. There's also a lot of webinars that are archived, and you can also review our upcoming trainings. So again, I encourage you to reach out to me. I'm willing to go through into a deeper dive on any of the topics that I highlighted here, discuss any specific needs, challenges, or goals that you have, and I'm always happy to help. So thank you all very much.
Is there someone to
Thank you, Terry.
check the chat room to see if there were any questions?
Yeah, I can check it. Hopefully.
Did anybody in the group here have any questions, Terry, before we move forward? And we're checking the chat to see if there was anybody that posted anything. Nothing there?
Nope.
Any last questions from the group before we move on to Bob? Okay, thank you, Terry. Appreciate the overview. Hopefully we'll have interest in some or many of the programs that you have here from the group that's here today. Okay, Bob, you're up.
Batter up, eh? Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bob Value. I'm the Deputy Director of the Steel Valley Authority, and I've managed the Strategic Early Warning Network program, which we call SOWN for short, for the past 20 plus years. Prior to coming into the public sector, I did turnaround consulting and investment banking work for many years before that. I'm a certified turnaround professional. There are about 400 of us in the world the last time I checked. We have an additional CTP on our corporate resume, and we also have a certified turnaround analyst on our corporate resume. I'm sitting in today on behalf of my Southwest Regional Director, Mike Perfetti, who would normally be the first point of contact for our organization, but he had a well-deserved vacation commitment this week. But all of our contact information will be at the end of the presentation, as well as on our website. A 30,000 foot view of kind of where our roots are. The Steel Valley Authority was a Southwestern phenomenon. It was a response to the steel industry meltdown back in the 1980s. It was formed as an intermunicipal authority, and as such, we have statewide powers. One of the early goals when it was formed was to try to mitigate the impact on the manufacturing supply base that serviced the regional steel industry. These initial efforts were funded by some small grants by the city of Pittsburgh and Allegheny County. The early successes that we had helping some of these smaller manufacturers drew the state's attention. And in the early 90s, using federal pass-through dollars that allow for the use of a particular silo of funds to be used to avert layoffs, they funded a 10-county pilot project, which, again, because of the success and demand, was quickly expanded to all 20 Western Pennsylvania counties. We gave the layoff aversion program the name the Strategic Early Warning Network, or SOAN for short. And the reason we gave that will kind of become evident as I go through this. We are now a statewide program. We grew steadily, and by 2011, we're statewide, and we have 5 offices. In this period, we worked with over 1,300 manufacturing firms. We've affected over 32,000 manufacturing jobs, and we do this at an average cost of over $1,000 per job saved. So the real question is, what is this layoff aversion? Well, it's basically a public sector term that has broad interpretation in how it's implemented, but the final goal is of course to save jobs. We use several strategies to achieve this goal. First is you've got to identify where the companies that potentially are struggling are, and we do a lot of data mining with regard to industries themselves that are restructuring, supply chains, both on an industry-wide basis as well as something that's related to a large plant, like when GE was going to shut down the Erie transportation facility, which had a massive supply chain. And then we go about trying to identify the individual companies in that supply chain that may be at risk. We've assembled a team of field staff. All of them have experience either at the corporate level or at a consulting level, or both, with turnaround advisory and restructuring experience. When a large company gets into trouble, they have the resources to hire a battery of experts to try to solve the problem. Smaller manufacturers don't have those resources. They don't have that luxury, even in the best of days. So SOAN is really a safety net for the smaller manufacturing firms, where they can access this very specialized turnaround assistance at no cost. SOAN is a free service. Moving to slide 3, we would provide all of the typical services that a private sector turnaround firm does, such as financial and operational restructuring. But unlike those firms, which are really good at basically tearing down a business to the point where, it needs to be cash neutral, we've developed over the years quite a practice with dealing with helping to regrow the company when there's a loss of a major customer, concentration issues, market changes. We do a lot of top line diversification work, and that can be something as simple as finding some new markets or customers, or in other cases, we've literally built a whole new brand platform for a company. It just depends on the situation. Going to slide 4. How do we work? In the distressed airspace, time is of the essence, and this is a lot to do with why we called the program the Early Warning Network. When you're in a distressed environment, time's a precious commodity. The longer it goes out, as you'll see in another slide, the less options you have. You're burning working capital. You're losing goodwill with suppliers as well as customers, your creditors, etc. So our aim is, with either an inquiry or a referral, to be in contact with senior management at a company within 48 hours. Other than the type of information that we would deem requisite to developing a situational analysis and an initial plan of attack, the only paperwork that we require is our memo of understanding to be signed. It has basically a confidentiality agreement in it to protect the company, and it just basically spells out our role, which is strictly advisory. I mean, we're not taking any agency here. All we can do is look at the facts and provide our advice and help the company implement if they so choose. If we go to the next slide. Fitting the name again and the MO here, what I want to stress to anybody listening, whether they're a potential referral source or they're a manufacturer out there, is that the earlier you can catch a company when it's starting to move sideways, the more options you have, the more time you have, and the better opportunity you have of having a successful turnaround. My friends in the private sector, they wine and dine the workout departments at the banks, because at the point where you would end up there, which is typically somewhere in that middle to late stage, the bank starts putting a list of people in front of you and saying you're going to hire one of these people, and those people are very expensive. In our case, we market to the commercial lenders who can see that their clients are starting to have issues, and because we're a free resource, hopefully we can solve the problems before we end up tripping covenants or what have you, and end up in the black abyss of a workout department. We do get referrals from workout departments, but that's not typically where I'm trying to market to. Of importance here is that when a large corporate, say, idles a plant or has a mass layoff, this is typically something strategic. They've seen a movement in their core market. They tend to work like a oil tanker. They move slow. They've got to look out in advance, whereas a small company has to react quickly. These large companies, when they make these strategic moves, they've got the critical mass to keep going. If GM shuts down a plant, they're going to keep trucking. They're moving things around. a smaller company like most of you are, you know, when I consider small, I'm talking small to smaller middle market companies, you're often operating right at critical mass, you know, in terms of balancing your human and financial capital, your sales volume, other variables. And so when a smaller firm starts to trickle out layoffs, this can quickly become a death spiral depending on your company's financial and operating leverage if you don't quickly get at and address the underlying causes. I mean, speaking off the cuff, you know, if you're a 30-person company and say your industry average, whatever you're doing, is $150,000 a year per employee in revenue, and you have to lay 3 people off, basically, that's $500,000 in lost sales volume until you can bring them back. Depending on where your financial leverage is, et cetera, it may put you very quickly below critical mass where, you know, you're in a negative cash flow position. So, you know, while trickling out a few people may not initially raise the alarm bells, at the end of the day, typically with the smaller firms, we're not saving those 3 jobs. You know, when we get in there, you can kind of see the writing on the wall, and we're basically ultimately fighting to save the company and all of the jobs. If you go to our last slide 6, you know, you've got basically a map of our regions and our contacts. As I said, I'm stepping in for Mike. Mike would normally be your Southwest contact, but, you know, by reaching out to me, you know, I'm going to make sure the appropriate director anywhere, you know, responds immediately. Our website, I too, just like Catalyst, invite you to visit it. If you look in the zone section, you can read the biographies of some of our directors to see who you're dealing with. We have, as a response to COVID, ourselves started putting together a portfolio of videos on relevant topics to, you know, the clients in our airspace, some blogs to, again, help educate and throw some ideas out there to companies that might be having some issues. And, you know, to close, I can say I'm really happy to see that this alliance is starting to get formed. We've ourselves, I mean, we do a lot of things kind of peripherally to our core mission, and we kickstarted several years ago 2 very, very large alliances in Southeast PA. My director, Greg Olson, who you see on the screen there, led those startups. And I forget how many members they're up to, but I know that they've been very, very successful, and that the collaboration between the companies has been tremendous. And, you know, I only wish the best to this manufacturing alliance, and hope that it can, you know, will grow and see the same measure of success that we've seen in some of the ones that we've seeded. Any questions I can take, or?
I know I don't see any on the chat. Anybody who has any questions?
Anybody?
Thank you so much, Bob. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me.
Well, and take care. And Alana, move into, let me see, Control 2 anyway.
Hello, everyone. I'm gonna, when Lori pulls up the presentation, we can point out things on the slide, but just to keep the time rolling. My name is Alana Colvin. I am an Energy and Environment Technical Advisor with PennTAP. PennTAP is an acronym. It's Pennsylvania Technical Assistance Program. We are a statewide technical assistance program charged with supporting Pennsylvania's businesses and anchor institutions that include the manufacturers, municipalities, educational institutions, entrepreneurs, and also our economic development agencies, our resource partners. PennTap's been around for well over 50 years, assisting the state, and right now we have a focus on energy. Next slide. So we have various charges. So we work on energy, environment, and we also have innovation. Our staff is very diverse. We have chemical engineers, we have electrical engineers. I'm an electrical engineer. We have environmental science individuals on our team. We have certified energy auditor, certified energy manager, registered environmental auditors as well. So there's a lot of different variety of topics that we cover from an energy perspective based on what you need us to cover from an energy perspective. We work closely with our clients to understand their needs. We provide direct technical assistance as well as making appropriate connections. Maybe we're not the right one, but just like was mentioned with the other two service providers, if there is a referral to be made, we'll send you on the way to make sure that you get to the right person to solve that problem. Different programs that I just want to highlight is the pollution prevention and energy efficiency projects, P2E2. The P2E2, we have about 40 grants for this grant year. Grant year is from the July to June. And so what that means is PennTap was provided funds from state and federal levels to go to 40 different manufacturers or agricultural related businesses specifically and do a no-cost energy assessment. An energy assessment looks at your current operations, your HVAC, your lighting, maybe process equipment, comfort, heat, whatever it is that is in your building consuming fuel or consuming electricity. We can look at that and evaluate it from what it's currently doing. And if you have an idea to commit to a project, if you want to update your lights, if you want to update your HVAC, we can give you an understanding of what that would look like from an energy savings perspective and therefore a cost perspective. So we're not so much focused on the quality or the process production line, but we're a complement to those philosophies. So the pollution prevention, and then there's also the economy, energy, and environment assessments, E3. That one is a blend of lean manufacturing plus the E2 assessment. So what we do here is we actually work with an IRC. In my case, I'm out here in the Southwest. I would work with Catalyst Connection. We would work together and we would do a value stream map of an individual product line. And as they go through the quality and the product, I would go through the energy consumption along the line. And we would meet together at the end to say, not only is this going to enhance your production because of XYZ savings, it's also going to influence your energy. And you can roll all of those savings into the next product line and grow your company from there. We also try to connect people back to Penn State. So as I work under Penn State is my employer, I look for ways to either guide opportunities back to faculty staff or the resources, the labs that are at Penn State, or students. So if you have an opportunity to bring students onto site, if there is an opportunity to work with a grad student, undergrad, internship, or a student design project, I can be a liaison to help you meet the right people to get that on board. So those are the different aspects of what PennTap can do. We have a lot of other programs. By all means, visit the website. It's there, or contact me after. That's totally fine too. But to stay focused on what today was to be provided. Next slide. So in my space, when I sent the presentation, that slide is actually blue with white typing. When you go back. Yeah, so my slide's a little different than what you're presenting. So what I'm going to do is we can pretend here. This is totally fine. This slide had funding opportunities on it, and I know that would have been really exciting to see. So funding-wise, the different programs out there. If you have an energy project in mind, I'm getting a little feedback, so if there's an echo, I'm sorry. But the projects you have in mind, so if we come through and do an E2, P2, or do an E3, and we find something that's exciting, or you come to us and say, hey, I want to update my HVAC. It's going to be new technology. It's going to be Energy Star, but I'm looking to see if there's any help out there to get these projects done. All of the energy funding opportunities that I had listed on the slide are specific to energy efficiency. So there might be other funding out there for production for quality, but I am not focused on those ones. So Act 129 rebates, they're back. So they kind of went a little awry this past year, but that was because phase 3 was ending, and phase 3 was a 5-year program to try to get as many rebates out there to all business sectors. They closed that the end of May, and the start of June, they opened up phase 4. So now there's money again, and it's fresh money. So it's all there ready to be taken. They also increased the amount per kilowatt savings. So if you did try to apply for rebates last year, it was down to about 3 cents. It's back up to 5 cents. And so what does this mean? This means that if you are doing any project where you reduce your electricity consumption at site, whether it's easy as changing a light bulb to LED, or maybe even removing the bulb entirely, that will count too. Whatever you're doing to lower electricity at your site may be eligible for a rebate. When I say maybe, if you're fuel switching, like going from HVAC that only uses electricity to HVAC that uses electricity and natural gas, that's a fuel switch, that doesn't count. So it has to be comparable to, at least you can delamp, you can take bulbs away, but you can't go to a new provider going like, I'm just going to use natural gas or some other form to feel warm inside my house. So the rebates are there. They PennTap can help you look at an estimated rebate, get you contacted with who you need to chase the rebates, recommend pre-approval. So West Penn Power is who I know is out in the Fayette area. They are working with Franklin Energy. It used to be Sodexo. So you might have heard of Sodexo. It's no longer Sodexo. However, the people and the faces are the same. There was just a company switch. So Franklin Energy is who is going to be verifying and distributing those rebates. They actually have an office in Murraysville, which is where I'm at as well. So super local, and they'll help you get those rebates, whether they be custom or specific to a product. There is also state money. There's the Small Business Advantage Grant through the DEP office. The office is actually the energy office, which is not related to the regulatory side of DEP. It has no interest whatsoever in the regulatory side. So the Small Business Advantage Grant is available for businesses who are under 100 employees or under. So that's a first checkbox. So if you're considered a small business, that is that. If you're 101 full-time employees, unfortunately, this grant won't work for you. There are a couple other different type of checkboxes that you have to hit. You have to save XYZ money, you have to save XYZ energy. But if you meet those, you can get a mini grant for $5,000. It's a 50-50 match grant. So what that means is you would pay for, say, $10,000 worth of equipment. They'll go to $5,000, you pay in $5,000. So 50-50 match. If it's a $12,000 project, they will pay you $5,000, and then you will pay the rest because they only go up to $5,000. PennTap has been helping with the Small Business Advantage Grant. We're on the website to help out. So even if you're not a manufacturer, but you're interested in this grant and it looks like it might work for you, or you just want to learn more, feel free to contact us. We went through 17 different grant applications last year. Actually a couple more, but some were advised not to apply. It didn't make sense for them. They didn't meet the requirements. But those who did apply, they were funded. So it was 100% funding from our perspective. And on those 17 projects, it was 10% of the grant funding money. And so super proud for all the small companies who were able to take that on, especially with such a hard year. So that's out there. It's state money. You can also use the rebates with that money. So just keep that in mind. There's also the USDA Rural Energy for America program, that is REAP. I know there is Karen Coons in Greensburg. She works with the USDA. She is USDA REAP representative. So if you've met with Karen before, just representing her program right now, but they also work with energy efficiency projects. They can provide up to 25% funding, grant funding, of projects up to $250,000. So that could be a very large grant. keep in mind that grants that large are not always given out. So it needs to be an amazing project in order to get that kind of money, but it's just another source of grant funding, grants you don't have to pay back. So that one is, again, looking at how resourceful are you, how much energy are you reducing because you're buying the newest technology, and in all cases, you are removing the old technology. It's a replacement. To do that, you need an energy assessment. PennTap will do those at no cost for the manufacturing and for agricultural related businesses such as farms. And if you're otherwise, talk with Karen and see what assistance is out there. Other people do other things, but you will need an energy audit done in order to apply under that. Karen would handle all the rest of that grant since she's a federal employee. So very highly recommend buddy with her. It's a competitive grant, so not every project will get a grant, just to throw that out there. We had a 50% success with PennTap this past year, but even with the 50% success, we spent 30% of the grant funds available for Pennsylvania businesses. So again, super proud and super excited for those businesses who succeeded. There was coal dryers, there was a grain dryer, there was some solar programs. It's all across the board of different types of projects. It's just depending on how they score and measure up against the other projects. Just like a cooking show moment, how did you do based on the competition? Doesn't mean it was a bad project. So super competitive, but may work. And so always apply. That one also needs pre-approval though. You can't buy anything. You need to have pre-approval, get it in writing, federal program. In the case of the federal program and the state program, you can combine both of those. So you could actually apply for 2 grants as long as everything is met, because they're different funding buckets. And keep in mind that you can go for the rebates on top of that. So just strategy, gameplay, if it makes sense, we can help you out and see where we talk to people and how we can make it roll. There is also the West Penn Power Sustainable Energy Fund that's out. Since you guys are in the West Penn Power footprint, the Sustainable Energy Fund that's in your area is West Penn Power Sustainable Energy Fund. They are separate entities. They do not work together. They have the same name, but they are not the same organization. But actually out in Westmoreland County, there is the Economic Growth Connection. And they're the ones who handle the financing for West Penn Power SEF, Sustainable Energy Fund. They provide funding for renewable projects, high energy saving projects, but it comes at a caveat. You need to be giving back to the community in some fit, form, fashion. You need to have an educational component, an economic development component. So it's more than just helping your individual facility. It is about looking at the community and does this do more for everyone based in that community. I am actually working on a West Penn Power SEF project with the Fayette Career and Technical Institute just down the way. We are working with the students in the school there with some funding that we received. So there's actually a lot of projects in the area where West Penn Power SEF has helped out a lot. So there's grants available. The grant application period is actually open into September, but I would double check and make sure it's there. I do have links. Granted, this slide is white, but there are links and Lori has all of them. Economic Growth Connection also has loans. So you can always look at loans. This is like a 2% loan for energy efficiency projects. If you are eligible for the Act 129 rebates, you are eligible for those mini grants. Mini grants, not the right word. Low interest rate grants, loans, low interest rate loans. So those are out there. Economic Growth Connection, Kyle can help you out. Really, really good guy. The next on my little bullet is sales tax exemption. This is strictly for our manufacturers. If you have manufacturing processes in play where you're consuming fuel or electricity, as they all do, you can actually get a sales tax exemption on the processes that are consuming the fuel. So lights, for example, you need lights in the building. That's not interesting. That doesn't count. Office equipment, you need that to do your job, so that doesn't count. But if you have a press, if you have a CNC, if you have equipment that's consuming that's directly and only related to manufacturing, if you can, I believe it's either 45 or 55%, you can read the form. It's a state form. It's full of details. you can also apply for that. So it's basically nearly a majority. I think it's 45. If it's 45% working towards manufacturing, you can apply for that sales tax exemption. Some companies, it makes minimum sense. If you're consuming a lot of electricity or a lot of natural gas, for example, because of a process kilns or just high energy consuming processes, it may be worth thousands of dollars to you. So just something to check out. Again, though, that's for manufacturing. Farms, you fall into a different category. So in case you're interested. And then how to keep track of all this, there is the database of state incentive for renewable and energy efficiency, otherwise known as DESIRE. It's not spelt like the word desire, and it's actually desireusa.org. If you type in desire.com, you will regret it. Don't do it. I wouldn't recommend it. So desireusa.org has a list of all the state and federal grants that they know of. For all the states, you click on Pennsylvania, you say, I want to look only at solar. I want to look at energy efficiency overall. I only want to look on this side of the state. And they will list out different things with the timestamp associated with it. It doesn't cover everything. You still need to look at other resources, but at least I can give you a perspective of the timelines of how things are rolling if you want a quick double check. Absolutely double check that. I would say once a quarter, because when little grants pop up, they usually stick around for only a month or two. So if you looked at it once in a quarter, per se, you would actually see those random things hit. If you look at it every 6 months, you might not see those things. And then last, I have PennTap has a very unique grant for the Learning Factory. The Learning Factory is senior design, engineering senior design at Penn State. So I went through the capstone process. I graduated from Penn State. They make the students work on a project with whoever signs up. So it doesn't have to be a manufacturer. It's just whoever put in a design. So not a research problem, but a design problem. Students look at all the different scenarios. We vote on which ones we want to work on. Then staff reviews our resumes and looks into it. This program's been going on for over 20 years now. I was in the program over 10 years ago, and it's still running the same way. So that's what they're looking at. In order to participate in that program, Penn State requires a sponsorship fee. And that sponsorship fee is $3,500, which for a small business can be way too much. So PennTap has a 50% reimbursement. And also there's other funding at the university. All you have to do is ask and see, is there any way maybe we can cover the whole project? Some might have to work with other professors, might not work for that semester, might be a different semester. We follow up saying, hey, there's funding available, but just keep that in mind and don't let the cost scare you away. If you have a good project, to put different types of engineers, senior engineers on that program. You can design it to be, I want a mechanical, I want an engineer, and electrical, mechanical, and chemical at the same time, or you can just have strictly mechanical. You can do whatever is available in that capstone. So right now we are actually closing out for the fall semester and the fall projects, but after the semester officially starts and classes are controlled, so a little after the start of September, the spring semester will open up for availability to sponsor a project. If you're interested in that, interested in funding, something like that, please feel free to reach out. We're always looking for projects and getting students engaged in real life business scenarios. And so that was what I had on this slide. And on the next slide is just webinars. So this is just saying, hey, in like 2-ish weeks, you're going to have a small business cost savings toolkit calculator review. So we have some stuff on our website where it's like, hey, I really don't want to talk to Alana. That's fine. I won't take it personally. But you actually want to look into like seeing if you have some savings. We have some really reduced calculators on our website to just try to give you some background of like, hey, is this project viable, or is it better not from an energy perspective from another thing, but you kind of clean up some of those questions. So we have some calculators. We're kind of going to walk through them, show you what's what. If you're in the powdered metals industry, we have a webinar coming up in November. We also just had a webinar this past July on all of the funding I mentioned and more. So again, there's like all different things out there, but in way more detail than what I could provide here. So please feel free. It's on the upcoming events. It's just under past events. So go there, hyperlink, and it's the July one. Really recommend it. It went a little long. It's over an hour, but there's a lot of funding and a lot of guest speakers about different funding opportunities that they have, especially for the new Franklin Energy and West Penn Power relationship. So just to throw that out there. It's also one of the first people who speak, so you could get that done in the first 15 minutes. And next slide. This might be white. Yeah, all right. So it's blue on mine, but it's working okay. So that's my cell phone number for Penn Tap and my email address, Penn State email address. I did not include my location. I am switching out my location. So I have been working out of downtown in the Energy Innovation Center, and I'm going to New Kensington, which is no tunnels. And I'm so excited, guys. I'm so excited. So I'll be commuting to the New Kensington launch box. But I find myself coming down to Fayette, especially now that the high schools are about to kick back on. I'll be coming back down to Fayette to go to the CTI down there. But yeah, if you ever want me to come down or chit chat or whatever, I have some limitations in my travel, but pretty much have the freedom to travel even with everything there. So just as a FYI, we'll follow Penn State policy and I'll follow whatever policy you have, but I can come out and meet and greet. So if you need me to come do a walkthrough. And that's that.
Thank you very much. Oh, there's your thing. I will be sure I'll be sending this PowerPoint out with the links and everything to all of our participants. And this webinar will actually be available on our website probably within the next day or so. We'll have the recorded version on our website. But if there are no questions, we just run over by 1 minute. So we've kept in our time frame. Bob, anything to conclude?
Sure. First off, thanks to all the presenters.
Yes.
All three of you are still here. I think you did a great job tossing a voluminous amount of information out to people in a very short time frame. So thank you for being consistent with what we were trying to accomplish today and just giving the overview. That being said, I know there was a lot of different topics discussed, and you may feel comfortable reaching out individually to the presenters about their programs. If you have any questions about what you might need and how you want to go about doing any things, Fay-Penn can certainly intermediate between our manufacturers to identify what your needs are and connect you with the right person on the 3 presenter levels as well. So keep us in mind if you do want to work with these folks, if you feel uncomfortable not knowing exactly who you should be talking to. Certainly we can work with you to identify the right person to contact here, and there may be some other folks that we don't have on the presentation today. So, and just some final thoughts. I think Lori mentioned we'd be getting the slides out as well as the link for where the recorded presentation is going to be. We also will be sending out a feedback form about your thoughts on how we can do these better. Obviously it was the first time out of the chute for this. We had some technical glitches that kind of slowed us down a little bit. I do appreciate your patience for working through those, but the feedback form will ask you your opinion on even things like what other kinds of topics might be interesting from a manufacturer's perspective that you'd like to see covered. And ultimately, we do want to try to make this a more in-person event and still allow for virtual attendance. But one of the things we want to encourage is for our manufacturers to get to know each other, so that if there are joint venture opportunities, supply chain opportunities, et cetera, you have the understanding of what everybody does and you have those connections in place to accomplish that. So that's all I have. Thanks for your attendance, either virtually or in person. I hope this was worthwhile for the hour that you spent with us. And certainly there's a lot of assistance available out there for our manufacturing community that we want to connect you with. So see you next time.
Thank you all very much. Thank you.